The Buffalo Bills had the league's premier rushing attack in 2015. They averaged just under 32 carries and 152 yards on the ground. Their success can be attributed to offensive coordinator Greg Roman. Roman runs the most complex run game in the NFL, and he did a fantastic job of preparing his players each and every week. Greg Roman has installed just about every blocking scheme available. This video will focus on man and zone blocking concepts, so let's dive right in. The first blocking scheme I want to cover is referred to as a man blocking scheme. In essence, each lineman is assigned a man to block, and the running back is given a specific hole to hit. The first man concept is one of the simplest plays in football and is called the ISO. The ISO, or isolation play, is aimed at getting the linebacker isolated one-on-one with the lead fullback. It is a downhill play, and we can see it run here versus the Dolphins. The defense is in a 4-man front with their tackles at 1 and 3 techniques. So Wood and Ritchie combo the 1 tech. Urbic is responsible for the 3 tech. The Mike linebacker is isolated, and Carlos gets downhill through the A gap. Sue's quickness and hand skills beat Urbic, and he redirects Carlos, but the play is still effective as Williams gets into the secondary. Of course, you can run the ISO from a draw look to gain blocking leverage as well. Here's a similar play, but run from the shotgun. The Bills are in 21 personnel and it draws 6 defenders into the box. With the Giants having the 1 tech to the strength of the formation, the Bills must combo him to the backside linebacker with everyone else base blocking. Inside linebacker John Beeson is isolated for Felton, and the fullback delivers a solid blow. Williams gets downhill and gains some tough yardage. Draws are used against fast flow teams or teams with talented up-the-field rushers. The Bengals are one of those defenses. Roman used a draw play several times against them. As EJ takes a snap, he uses his eyes to sell pass. That makes the linebackers hold or get to their zone. Defensive tackle Geno Atkins isn't fooled and he overpowers guard John Miller, but the fancy footwork by Shady leaves him in the dust. Watch Shady's footwork from the start of the play. Same play, different look. The Bills use a pair of fold blocks to get angles on the defenders. Greg and Quanjo execute the key fold block, with Greg releasing to the inside linebacker, while Cyrus picked up the defensive end. Shady sees the lane and hits it. The next run blocking scheme and concept I want to cover is zone blocking. This is probably the simplest blocking scheme, because offensive linemen are essentially all firing out with their playside foot and blocking the man in their playside gap. The linemen work combo blocks, then release to the second level. The running back is given a landmark to aim for, and because of the line's movement, it will allow the back to have 3 run lanes, the opportunity to bounce it, bang it, or bend it back. On this inside zone run play, the lineman fire step to the play side, as the back typically aims for the outside hip of the guard. The key block here was by Ritchie, who worked to get play side to seal the hole. Gillisley makes the correct cut and is off to the races. Here's a zone running play, but it is a split flow concept. Split flow plays are designed to send false reads to the linebackers. Inside linebackers are taught to read the guards through the fullback or running backs. By sending the fullback across the formation, opposite the flow of the play, that creates false reads and allows the offense that much more time to block and execute. Watch the 2 inside linebackers' reactions to the split flow. The offensive lineman zone block to their right, and Felton comes across the formation to block the edge player. Gillisley presses the line of scrimmage, but decides to bend it or cut it back, giving him a nice gain on the play. Watch it in real time. Many teams run outside zone runs. It is very similar to inside zone, only difference being that the aiming point for the tailback is usually 1 to 2 yards outside the tight end, and the footwork of the offensive lineman varies. Teams that love to run this play typically have smaller, quicker offensive linemen. It is a play that tries stretching the defense horizontally, allowing for cutback lanes for the back. The Bills didn't use much of this in 2015, but here's an example of one play. The key to this outside zone run play is a reach block by Glenn. He has a tough block as he has to work to the play side and steal the edge. He does a great job on Chandler Jones, which allows Felton to kick out Jamie Collins. This springs Shady free. Off the zone blocking scheme comes another dimension of the offense that teams have to prepare for, the zone read. Tyrod Taylor rushed 104 times for 568 yards and 4 touchdowns in 2015. He is a threat to run, and Greg Roman weaved that dimension into his offense. On zone reads, simply put, the QB is reading the end man on the line of scrimmage. It is similar to an option play. If that man crashes down on Shady, the QB keeps it, and that is what happens on this play. But Roman throws so many reads at the defenders just in this one play. Of course, the offensive linemen are blocking zone to their right, so the flow of the play is going right. The flow of the play causes the Mike linebacker to take false read steps forward, allowing Glenn to cut off his pursuit. The fullback is running split flow, but it doesn't end there. Felton leaves the end and wraps around him to the pursuing inside linebacker. The defensive end crashes down and Felton picks up the inside backer for a good gain. Roman also drew up some very special QB keepers in 2015. This play is supposed to look like zone read, but in my opinion it was a predetermined QB keeper. Let's take a look at this memorable play from 2015.
Already 4 Wildcat formations in this game for the Bills. Here is Taylor trying to find the edge, ducks inside the 5, lunges end zone, and he's in for the touchdown. What a play by Taylor, running it in from 8 yards out.
Get there. Did he stay in bounds? Tight rope. Look at the talent. Rex Ryan said this kid's got some magic about him. They wanted to use his mobility in today's game. We've already seen him dial up some nice run plays for him.
How about speed option? Roman has that in his bag of tricks. The offensive line blocks zone right, but Greg leaves the last man on the line of scrimmage as that is the guy Taylor is optioning. If that player crashes on Taylor, he is taught to pitch it. If the player shoots upfield at Shady, Taylor keeps it, and that is what happens on this play. Although Shady kept the pitch relationship perfect, Taylor plays it safe and decides not to pitch it at the second level. But that wasn't the case in Week 17. Taylor feels the pitch man closing in, so he pitches it to Carlos. The offensive line blocks zone left. Taylor stays parallel to the line of scrimmage. When Richardson closes in, Taylor steps and pitches to Carlos, who goes out of bounds just short of the end zone. The final run concept is the pitch or toss. This can be classified as a zone run concept. On the next set of plays, you will see the lineman step play side, and the tackle will pull and lead the play. It is very similar to a stretch or outside zone run. Take a look. The Bills motion Charles Clay to seal the defensive end. Richie executes a very difficult reach block, so that Glenn could pull and lead the play wide with Felton. Carlos receives the pitch and gets some nice blocks out ahead of him for a 15-yard gain. Here's another pitch play, this time against the Jets. Hogan doesn't execute his assignment, but Shady erases the mistake and converts the third down. Hogan is responsible for the down block on Wilkerson, which will allow Clay and Henderson to lead the play wide. Wilkerson blows the play up, but Shady is just too slippery for just about every defender on the Jets. Let's watch this great run again from the broadcast angle. The Bills ran their fair share of zone and man concepts in 2015. It wasn't their bread and butter, but they still had their fair share of success using those schemes. You can count on those concepts to be in the playbook next year. Last season, the Bills relied heavily upon the power or gap running scheme, such plays as counter trays and pin and pull runs. Be sure to check out the second part of this series at cover1.net when available.